Hello, welcome to Garden Chronicles. My name is James David, and in today's video I would like to talk about this particular tassel fern known as Huperzia goebelii. It's somehow considered one of the rarest type of Huperzias, and it is sort of classified one time ago as Lycopodium family, sort of more on a club moss type of fern, in a way to say that it's not a fern, it's not a Salangelina. So there is a little bit of contention here when it comes to names and ID. However, their behavior is almost alike. This particular one falls into a fern-alike kind of plant. Just a bit of an introduction here concerning this tassel fern. I've spotted this particular one sold in a local nursery here about RM85. In a way, I believe it is sort of a standard price due to the fact that this plant is considered rare and not easy to get. In a way, you can actually roughly get about RM50 to 85 to 150 in that range, because this particular one is one of the rare types. And of course, one of the factors that I've actually noticed that because of the rarity, it is because the plant can die easily in a normal regular garden's hand. So it does have a very tight schedule of care management in a way to maintain this plant, or else this particular plant can die away in your garden. I would like to talk about this particular tassel fern's characteristics. In fact, most of the tassel fern has this particular characteristics where when it comes to a strand, normally that one singular strand actually divide itself into two, and the next one to two, and it sort of like multiply itself. So one singular strand is actually considered a mother plant. So before purchasing the plant, do always check on the top of the surface to find out exactly how many strands that particular plant actually has. Do not consider the one at the bottom, because when a one singular main mother plant dies, the whole thing just die away. So do not focus on what is actually cascading and descending at the bottom. Rather count and calculate on what is available at the top, because in most cases I've noticed, and I've made that one particular mistake of purchasing something that is of one singular strand, and then when that particular one stress up and dies, the whole plant is gone. I just want to show to you the telltale sign of a plant gone wrong. If you notice here that one major main stem has rotten away, and we notice that it is just barely sticking on the plant. And if you notice, another factor that is been used here is coconut chips, and the telltale sign of using osmocote as fertilizer here. And so this is one of the big no-nos that you have to figure out, because when something starts to die, especially when it comes to tassel fern, the whole thing can actually die away if you don't do something to change the situation, or you're going to lose the whole plant. Now if you look over here, there are some drying parts here, and this is what I mentioned about this slow release fertilizer can be one of the culprits. There is still hope. There is one particular strand that shows some promising sign that is alive, but I'm a bit doubtful, because if this particular thing is not been taken care of, and let's say if it's actually a infection or fungal infection or a root problem or even bacterial infection, it actually can kill the plant. You see, like over here, just barely sticking, it is actually drying off, and at the bottom of the plant it's sort of like it's actually gone. So do take notice of it. See that this particular one is slowly showing some signs of burns, and this is what I've actually understood, that always when it comes to tassel fern, the leaves should be always fresh looking. It should not be burnt or dying, because if that actually appears to shows that kind of sign, the plant is actually dying. And you can notice over here, this particular one, it looks all healthy. So in coming to choosing a plant, always choose wisely. Like this particular one, it's healthy looking and it actually goes in a long way, in a way that value for money in that kind of context. Over here you can notice that some of the leaves appears to be like rolling, and some of it is in an open kind of thing. This is one of the characteristic of this particular Huperzia. I believe this is more on a hybrid because there are so many variation when it comes to one particular type of Huperzias. Now I want to mention here that this particular one is actually planted upright, and you can see that the plant is actually coming up, sprouting upward, and is coming down. In a way, I believe that this is where the crown is, and I think this is how they're actually cultivating the plant. From letting it appears to let it sprout out upward, and then it cascades by itself. I think that could be the stress, because when it comes by its own weight, it snaps and it rots. Maybe not, but this is what I actually understand. So one of the most important thing is to look into it, to actually plant it upside down, so you don't have this kind of stress on this plant. And this could be one of the factors that I've noticed, that they don't really look so good looking. In a way, there's some telltale signs of burn marks on the side of the leaves, so it is being stressed. So I'm not really sure what is actually the situation. A lot of study need to be done on this, but it's not really proper science is actually done on this. So these are the things that you have to look into when purchasing this particular tassel fern. Now another thing that I want to mention to you here, if you notice, like over here, this portion here is actually a female kind of a thing, and then suddenly it turns to a kind of a different pattern. So let's say if this particular part is being layered on a sphagnum moss, the whole thing would have rooted away. Start to root, and you can actually propagate it, and you can have had another set of strands, and you can actually save it. So this particular one has missed it, and so it went back to its normal kind of thing. So always look for something that is a small, tiny, kind of a rolled kind of a effect, and place that on top of a sphagnum moss, and you can actually rest assured a new set of roots might appear from it, and you could have had a new set of plants, and you could have propagated it in a way. So it's a little bit sad here. If I look at it, it's not really looking so good. I can see a little bit shriveled here. So I believe that it's not happy because when it comes to tassel fern, this appears to be a little bit withered. So yeah, you know that the plant is not really doing so well. This pot seems to be a little bit light, so it's not really receiving good enough water on it. In fact, when I carry this particular pot is very light. The medium is correct. However, I think it would have done marvelously if they would have cut the pot at the bottom at the drainage hole, and then just reversed it and let it hang upside down. I'm pretty sure a lot of new roots would have appeared from it. But that's one thing about vendors, they are more interested on the context of sale and of the plants rather than plant care. So this is one of the things that gardeners need to know before purchasing the plant. I for one would purchase it. It was somewhere in a nominal price of 30 ringgit to 50 ringgit. I think that would be worth it, looking at the condition of the plant, which is not really at this optimum. And once I purchase it, I will definitely revert the plant upside down, just to make sure that the next one that comes out, it would not be stressed out. And in most cases, I also notice that when it comes to parent plant, especially like this particular strands, when they go through stress, the whole strand do tend to dry out and fall away, and the new ones begin to appear, and that process may take about 3 to 5 months depending on the humidity factor. So all these things play a high role in the context of stress, and this particular strands are actually very sensitive plant, and I would not recommend this for new beginners. Once the watering and the medium is correct, I think this particular tassel fern can actually last in your hands at least for 10 to 15 years, or even can last for a very long time, and they actually grow very well and beautifully. So it's a lot of care that is required when it comes to humidity, plant care. Once that is been taken care of and you know exactly what the plant needs, there's nothing much to be worried about. So I've now come to the end of my video. If you have any questions, do put a comment below and I'll try my best to answer the questions based on my opinion and my experiences. If you can, please do click like and subscribe my channel, and I hope you enjoy my style of gardening and the choices of plants that I find that is worth sharing in my channel. And I would really appreciate if you can put on your comments based on your thoughts and your ideology of the plants that you would like to check out and grow in your garden space. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye.